Brad Williams. Brad Williams. Frugal Finance forward contract with known yield. A forward contract with a known yield is an agreement where you agree to buy or sell something in the future at a fixed price, but with the added twist that you already know how much income you'll get from the item before you sell it. For example, imagine you have a piece of land that you expect to give Imagine you have a piece of land that you expect value to increase 5% per year. Forget the writing here. Imagine you have a piece of land that you expect to appreciate 5% a year. This means if your land is worth 100, you'll get $5. Imagine you have a piece of land that generates, for example, imagine you have a piece of land that generates a dividend of 5%. This means if the land is worth 100, you'll get $5 each year. Well, that's kind of narrow, given that I'm sure this property appreciates, and so subsequently this is going to change, but we'll just go with this example and keep it as simple as possible. Now, if somebody wants to buy this land from you in the future, you can agree on a price today, taking into account that they will also get this yearly income. Right off the bat, if you know anything about options, this kind of looks like an option, which gives us a couple of different, options, reviewing the options. And that is, we can use this methodology, or maybe we can use Black-Scholes. How about we take one step at a time? Why don't we just look at this? And then once we get to the Black-Scholes, you can make a decision whether to use this trial and error method, or if you want to use Black-Scholes, or you can use both and see what is more accurate. That being said, but wait, there's more. This income could be paid out differently. It could be paid once a year, twice a year, or even more frequently. How often you receive this income affects how you calculate its value. In finance, we usually use a continuous way of calculating these things, similar to how we calculate interest rates continuously. So to figure out the price of this future transaction, we use formulas that account for this continuous calculation method. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine you have a forward contract for 6 months on an item that gives you a 2% dividend once in 6 months. If the risk-free interest rate, which is like the base rate for borrowing money, is 10% per year, and the item is currently priced at 25, you can calculate the future price using a formula. This formula takes into account the current price, the interest rate, the time until the contract matures, and the known value, the known yield of the item. After plugging in the numbers and doing some calculations, you find that the forward price is $25.77. In summary, a forward contract with a known yield is an agreement to buy or sell something in the future at a fixed price where you already know how much income you'll get from the item, and you use specialized formulas to calculate its future value. We will show Q as the average yield per annum on an asset over the life of a forward contract with continuous compounding. It can be shown that forward would equal price times EXP R minus Q T. Consider a 6-month forward contract on an asset that is expected to provide income equal to 2% of the asset price once during a 6-month period. The risk-free rate of interest with continuous compounding is 10% per annum. The asset price, is 25. In this case, S of O is equal to 25, R is equal to 0.1, and T is equal to 0.5. 6 months, 10%, 25. The expected annual yield is 4% with semi-annual compounding. Using R of I is equal to M times L of N, 1 plus R of M, we get 4, here's your 4, times EXP 10.469 times 0.5 plus 4 times EXP 10.536 times 1. Okay, we have 5 and 1. 104. The asset price is 25. In this case, all right, so we have 10.469. We're stealing information from the previous examples, all right? Remember 10.469 and 10.536 and EXPR times 5 is equal 96. This 10.469 is that price on a 6 month, on the 6 month zero, I think. This is the 1.5 year deal. Is this the 1.5 example? But go back to section 3 if you need to. Look at the numbers. Okay, this is a identical example. You will need to discount the 2 by 2 by 3.9%. The answer is 3.96 per annum with semi-annual compounding. It follows Q is equal to 3.96, so that F of O, SO forward equals 25 EXP, and here is the notation equals 2577. Compound frequency, there's the price, 2577. Remember, we were up here, we said 2577. This is how it's calculated. There is the discount, 3.96. Again, where are we using this? Here, we're using the trial and error up here. You see where it says B47? We're using this right here. And then log normal B44. So we use this 8.5, and then we have this calculation here. So there's a couple different ways to do this. Remember, we did this long old calculation, B43.96. We needed, and then log normal. You can see I went backwards and forwards. In order to calculate this number, this price, we're going to reference the trial and error. Once we have this price, we're going to reference, once we reference this 96, we're going to reference 96 and get this 0.851961. And I believe that will be your zero price on this forward contract, but correct me. It may be the forward price or it may be the zero. I got way too many things on my mind. R is equal to, and then they said R up here is equal, well, they just give you the formula, but I can't remember if R is let's think through this, 85196 is the zero. Now, clearly, some of you are going to have great memories, and then some like me, sometimes I just forget stuff. Anyway, all this information is available per session. In other words, the spreadsheet is available. So when you stumble, open up. Well, here is section 3. I said this right here is probably the zero pricing. I am correct, okay? So you have to go back over to section 3, and here's this 10.681 that we solved earlier, and that's for the 1.5 years. That's the 1.5 pricing. So I didn't read this that carefully. Did it say 1.5 years here? But that's what it reconciles to. If all else fails, go back to the resources that were shown to you. And 90% of the battle is remembering where this information is. There's a lot of formulas here, but you're going to see, as you can see, they're the same over and over and over again. Now imagine you're working for one of the banks or private equity groups, and your job is to price this stuff. Well, it's going to get rather boring after about a month because you're going to see it over and over again. And that's good, because once you're bored, then you're going to go, well, how about if I start manipulating these numbers? What do I do? And there are teams, I don't know if that's the appropriate word, there are departments within investment banking firms that their job is, and it's probably those that have their MBAs or have their PhDs, and their job is strictly to create new products. And the way you create new products is do some mathematical recalculations, re-engineer this stuff. When you get into swaps, you'll see what I'm talking about. Brad Williams, Frugal Finance. This is pretty cool stuff, isn't it? When it all settles down, when it all settles in, you're going to go, wow, this is not something you're going to talk about at a party. But within your peers, you're going to challenge each other. And if so, have fun with it. Because this is some nifty stuff. Brad Williams, Frugal Finance. Williams out.